The Spanish summer air hung thick with anticipation outside Madrid's historic Teatro Real. Camera flashes burst like lightning as Margot Robbie stepped onto the red carpet in a tailored cream Chanel suit, her golden hair gathered in an elegant updo. Her latest film, Shadows of Desire, was premiering as part of Madrid's International Film Festival, and critics were already buzzing about her performance as a complex anti-heroine navigating the dangerous waters of high-stakes art theft. Margot. Over here, photographers called from every angle. She smiled graciously, turning to give each section of the press line their moment. Her co-star, Spanish actor Javier Mendez, joined her, and they posed together, whispering occasional comments to each other between photos. "How do you feel about the early reviews?" a journalist shouted above the commotion. Margot leaned slightly toward the microphone. "I'm just honored that people are connecting with the character. She's flawed and complicated, honestly, one of the most challenging roles I've taken on." Inside, the cinema was filled with industry insiders, local celebrities, and film aficionados. When the lights dimmed and the film began to roll, Margot felt the familiar flutter of nervousness in her stomach. No matter how many premieres she attended, that feeling never quite disappeared. 2 hours later, as the credits rolled, the audience erupted into thunderous applause. Director Elena Vasquez took the stage first, followed by the cast. The standing ovation lasted nearly 5 minutes. "Thank you all so much," Elena said, wiping away a tear. "This film has been our collective labor of love for almost 3 years." When it was Margot's turn to speak, she kept her words brief but heartfelt. "Madrid, you've welcomed us with such warmth and passion. I'll carry this night in my heart forever." After the required photographs and brief press interactions, Margot's publicist, Samantha Klein, approached her with a gentle touch on the elbow. "Everything went perfectly," Sam whispered. "The team's heading to Hotel Urban for the official after-party, but I know you mentioned wanting something more low-key afterward." Margot nodded, looking relieved. "The official stuff first, of course, but after an hour or so, can you help me slip away with just a few friends? I'm thinking somewhere authentic, not where they'd expect to find us." "Already working on it," Sam smiled, tapping her phone. "I've got a place in mind. Very Madrid, very discreet." The official after-party at Hotel Urban was exactly what Margot had expected, elegant, carefully orchestrated, and full of important people she needed to speak with. Studio executives, potential future collaborators, Spanish dignitaries, and members of the international press all vied for her attention. 3 hours in, she caught Sam's eye across the room and gave an almost imperceptible nod. Within minutes, her publicist had orchestrated an expert extraction, leading Margot through a service corridor to where a car was waiting. "Freedom!" Margot exclaimed as the car door closed, kicking off her heels and massaging her feet. With her in the car were her longtime friend and assistant Emma Stone, not the actress, a fact she constantly had to explain, Javier, and 2 of the film's producers, Michael Wong and Layla Amadi. "Where are we headed?" Michael asked, loosening his bow tie. Sam smiled mysteriously. "It's called La Candela Clandestina. My local contact says it's where actual Madrileños go. No tourists, great music, amazing drinks, and the owner promised a private corner." "Sounds perfect," Margot said, letting down her hair and shaking it loose. "I need something real after all that." Layla eyed her cautiously. "You sure about this? We could just grab a quiet drink at the hotel bar." "Absolutely not," Margot laughed. "We've been working on this film for ages, and I've barely seen the Real Madrid. One authentic night out, that's all I'm asking." The car wound its way through Madrid's narrow streets, eventually stopping in front of an unassuming building with a small wooden sign. "If you didn't know what you were looking for, you'd miss it completely." "This is it?" Javier raised an eyebrow, then broke into a grin. "Oh, this is perfect. I've heard of this place, it's the real deal." The bar was everything Sam had promised, intimate, vibrant, and filled with locals rather than celebrities or tourists. Dark wood panels lined the walls, adorned with vintage flamenco posters and black and white photographs of old Madrid. A small stage in the corner held 3 musicians playing a modern take on traditional Spanish music, and the bar itself was made of worn copper that gleamed warmly under hanging Edison bulbs. The owner, a stocky man with a salt and pepper beard named Carlos, greeted them personally and led them to a secluded area partially hidden by a beaded curtain. It offered privacy while still allowing them to feel the energy of the main room. "First round is on the house," Carlos said with a slight bow. "What will you have?" "What's special here?" Margot asked. "Our house specialty is the Granada sunset, gin, blood orange, rosemary, and a few secret ingredients." He winked. 5 of those then, Margot decided for the group. As the drinks arrived, deep orange with sprigs of rosemary burning like tiny torches, Margot raised her glass. "To shadows of desire and to real moments like this." The drinks were delicious, and as one round turned into 2, the conversation flowed freely, moving from film talk to personal stories and laughter. "God, I needed this," Margot said, leaning back in her chair. "Red carpets and interviews are fine, but this, just being somewhere real with friends, this is what keeps me sane." Javier nodded. "That's Madrid for you. No matter how famous you are, here you're just another person enjoying life." A new song started playing, and Margot suddenly sat up straight. "Wait, I know this song." It was a Spanish cover of Bang Bang by Jessie J, Ariana Grande, and Nicki Minaj, the song that played during her famous dance scene in The Wolf of Wall Street. "Oh no," Emma laughed, recognizing it too. "Here we go." Margot's face lit up with mischief. "It's a sign. We should dance." "On the dance floor, sure," Sam cautioned, but Margot was already standing. "When in Madrid," she declared, moving toward the main area of the bar. The locals, who had been politely pretending not to notice the celebrity in their midst, watched with growing interest as Margot approached the bar. Carlos was wiping glasses, and he paused when she leaned over to speak to him. "Would you mind terribly if I danced on your bar?" she asked with a charming smile. "This song has special meaning for me." Carlos looked surprised but then broke into a wide grin. "Señorita Robbie, my bar is your stage." "Is she really going to?" Michael started to ask. "Oh yes, she is," Emma confirmed, taking out her phone. "This isn't the first time." Carlos helped Margot up onto the sturdy wooden bar top, and the room fell into a hushed silence as people realized what was happening. Margot stood for a moment, slightly embarrassed but also exhilarated by the spontaneity of it all. "Vamos," someone called out encouragingly. With a playful smile, Margot slipped off her Chanel jacket and handed it down to Emma. Underneath she wore a simple silk camisole that caught the light as she began to move to the music. Her dance wasn't overly provocative, it was joyful, confident, and free. She moved with the natural rhythm of someone who was dancing for the pure pleasure of it rather than for an audience. As she gained confidence, her movements became more reminiscent of her Wolf of Wall Street scene, though with a self-aware humor that made it clear she was having fun with her own public image. The bar patrons went wild, clapping along with the beat. Phones came out everywhere, recording the unexpected moment. "This is amazing," a young Spanish woman said in heavily accented English to Emma. "She is so normal. So fun." The song built to its climax, and Margot threw her arms up, laughing as she executed a perfect spin. When the final notes played, she took a theatrical bow, and the entire bar erupted in applause and cheers. Carlos helped her down from the bar, and several patrons approached to clink glasses with her or offer compliments in a mixture of Spanish and English. "That was incredible," a young man said, showing her his phone screen. "Would you mind if I post this? My friends will never believe it." Before Margot could answer, Sam stepped in smoothly. "She'd prefer if you kept this special moment just for those who were here tonight," she said with a firm but friendly smile. The man looked disappointed but nodded understanding. As they made their way back to their table, Javier raised his glass to her. Now that's what I call embracing the moment. Very Madrid of you. I couldn't resist, Margot laughed, her cheeks flushed with exertion and excitement. Something about this place just makes you want to be alive, you know? I got the whole thing, Emma said, showing her phone to Margot. It's actually really great. Looking at the video, Margot smiled. That was fun, but maybe keep that one between us? But it was already too late. Despite Sam's efforts, several videos had already been uploaded to social media, and within minutes, they began to spread. By the time they left La Candela Clandestina 2 hours later, the videos had gone viral. Hashtag Margot on the bar was trending, and entertainment news sites were already running headlines. In the car back to the hotel, Sam's phone wouldn't stop buzzing with notifications. Bad? Margot asked, seeing her publicist's furrowed brow. Not bad exactly, Sam replied, scrolling through messages. People actually love it. They're calling it charming, spontaneous, a real movie star moment. But it's everywhere, and there are some angles that are, well, more revealing than would be ideal. Oh. Margot leaned over to look at Sam's phone, where one particular video showed a moment when her camisole had shifted slightly during a spin. Nothing terrible, Sam reassured her. But this particular video is getting the most shares, and I'm not comfortable with where this could go. Do you want me to try to contain it? Margot bit her lip, thinking. Yes, I think so. Not because I regret it, I don't. But I'd rather not have that specific moment become a forever thing on the internet, you know? On it, Sam said, already typing messages. I'll contact our legal team and reach out to the platforms directly. The privacy violation angle should work since you were at a private establishment that wasn't hosting an official event. Michael looked impressed. Can you actually get videos removed from the entire internet? Sam gave him a confident smile. Watch me work. Part 6, The Digital Cleanup. Back at the hotel, while the rest of the group headed to their rooms, Sam and Margot set up an impromptu crisis management center in Margot's suite. Sam had her laptop open and was simultaneously on the phone with their legal team in Los Angeles, despite the time difference. Yes, I need everyone on this now, she said firmly. Priority 1. Contact Google, Twitter, Meta, TikTok, all of them. The argument is unauthorized commercial use of her image and privacy violation in a non-public event setting. Margot sat cross-legged on the bed, scrolling through social media on her tablet. The comments are actually really nice. People are saying I'm down to earth and living my best life. That's good, Sam said, covering the phone's microphone. But we still need to get those videos down, especially the more revealing ones. Within an hour, the first takedowns began to happen. By dawn, the major platforms had complied with the removal requests, citing their policies on privacy and unauthorized sharing of potentially compromising content. The big ones are down, Sam announced, finally collapsing into an armchair. There'll be some holdouts on smaller sites, but the viral spread has been contained. You're a miracle worker, Margot said, bringing her a cup of tea. Truly. Just doing my job, Sam yawned. Though I have to say, as far as celebrity scandals go, this was pretty tame. You looked like you were having genuine fun, and people responded to that authenticity. I was having fun, Margot smiled. No regrets about the dance itself. Just glad we could control the aftermath. The following morning, Madrid's local papers carried small stories about the Hollywood star's spontaneous dance, but without visual evidence, the stories lacked impact. Online, people were commenting on the mysterious disappearance of the videos, which only added to the mystique of the night. At breakfast in a private dining room of the hotel, the film's director Elena joined the group from the night before. So, she said with an amused smile, I hear you gave quite the performance after the official one last night. Margot groaned good-naturedly. News travels fast. The owner of La Candela is my cousin, Elena revealed. He called me first thing this morning, absolutely thrilled. Said it was the most exciting night in his bar's history. Is he upset about the video takedowns? Margot asked worriedly. Not at all, Elena assured her. He completely understands. In fact, he wanted me to give you this. She handed Margot a small envelope. Inside was a handwritten note from Carlos, along with a black and white photo taken from behind the bar. The photo showed Margot mid-dance, arms raised joyfully, face lit with genuine happiness, but captured at a respectful angle that revealed nothing inappropriate. The note read, "For you only. A beautiful moment that belongs to you. You are welcome in La Candela anytime. Carlos." Margot felt tears prick her eyes. That's incredibly thoughtful. That's Madrid, Javier said simply. We protect our own, and after last night, you're one of us now. Part 8, The Press Conference. Later that day, they had the film's main press conference at the festival headquarters. Inevitably, one brave journalist raised his hand and asked about the incident at La Candela Clandestina. Before Sam could intervene, Margot decided to address it directly. Yes, I did dance on a bar last night, she admitted with a good-natured smile. After our wonderful premiere, a few of us wanted to experience the Real Madrid, and we found this amazing local place. When they played a song that happened to be meaningful to me, I got caught up in the moment. She paused, then continued more thoughtfully. I think sometimes as public figures, we're expected to always be on, in a certain way, always careful, always guarded. But I'm a human being who occasionally wants to dance when a good song comes on. The videos were removed not because I'm ashamed of enjoying myself, but because I believe even public figures deserve to have spontaneous private moments that don't become eternal internet content. The room was silent for a moment, then erupted in applause. Elena leaned into her microphone. And if you've seen her performance in Shadows of Desire, you know that Margot brings that same authenticity and joy to her work. Next question, please. The press conference moved on, but Margot's honest response resonated throughout the room. Later, several journalists would comment that it was refreshing to hear a star acknowledge the human desire for both spontaneity and privacy. What no one could have predicted was how the dance that disappeared from the internet would take on a life of its own. Without actual footage to share, people began creating art inspired by the story. Illustrations, animations, and even poems about Margot's moment of freedom started appearing online. The patrons who had been at La Candela Clandestina that night became minor celebrities themselves, asked to describe what they had witnessed. Their accounts varied in details but were consistent in one thing: Margot Robbie had been genuinely, humanly joyful. It wasn't like watching a movie star perform, one witness told a local newspaper. It was like watching your friend have the best moment of her night. So natural, so real. La Candela Clandestina, meanwhile, saw its business boom. Though Carlos refused to capitalize directly on Margot's visit, turning down offers for exclusive interviews or to sell any photos he might have, the bar became known as a place where authentic Madrid moments happened. He did make one change, though: the house specialty, Granada Sunset, was quietly renamed the Margot on their menu. Part 10, Lasting Impressions. On her final night in Madrid, before flying to London for the next leg of the press tour, Margot received a package at her hotel. Inside was a beautiful handmade wooden box with an engraved copper plaque that read, La Noche de la Candela, the night of the candle. The box contained printed messages from many of the patrons who had been there that night, thanking her for the magical memory and promising that her secret dance would remain something special that belonged to those who were present. Also in the box was a small copper replica of the bar at La Candela Clandestina, with a tiny figure dancing on top. A note from Carlos read, "Some moments are not meant for the whole world, but that doesn't make them any less significant. Madrid will always remember your dance, even if the internet doesn't." Sitting on her hotel balcony overlooking the Madrid skyline, Margot held the little copper bar and smiled. In a career filled with carefully managed public appearances and strategic career moves, her spontaneous dance had somehow become one of her most meaningful professional memories. Emma found her there an hour later, still lost in thought. "Sam says we need to finish packing," she said, joining Margot on the balcony. "Everything okay?" "Better than okay," Margot replied. "I was just thinking about how sometimes the moments that don't get captured forever are the ones that actually stay with you the longest." Emma smiled. "For what it's worth, that dance was the most I've seen you be in public in a long time." "Maybe I should dance on bars more often," Margot laughed. "Please don't," came Sam's voice from inside the suite. "My heart can only take so much." They all laughed, and Margot took one last look at the Madrid skyline before heading inside. The story of Margot Robbie's bar dance would continue to be told in Madrid for years to come, growing more elaborate and magical with each telling, as all the best stories do. Without video evidence to contradict them, the tales would describe increasingly impressive dance moves and growing crowds of witnesses. In reality, only a small group of lucky Madrid locals could truly say they were there the night Margot Robbie danced on the bar at La Candela Clandestina. And somehow, that made the memory all the more precious to everyone involved, including Margot herself. As her car pulled away from the hotel the next morning, she looked out at the sun rising over Madrid and made a silent promise to herself, to find more moments of pure, unrecorded joy in her very public life. Sometimes, the most magical experiences are the ones that exist only in memory. Thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoy this video and learned a lesson. I would be grateful for your likes. Also don't forget to subscribe and comment on the video. See you soon.